I'll just say it's 6:34. The meeting is called to order.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, John. And I just want to welcome in Tracy Baptiste, who is a new interpreter who's with us today.
Hi, Tracy.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, members of the public who wish to watch and listen to the meeting may do so in the following manner. WCTV, Channel 9, Comcast Xfinity, Channel 37, Verizon Fios, and live stream at wctv.org. This meeting of the Wilmington Commission on Disabilities is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Members of the public who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may also do so via telephone by dialing 1-646-558-8656 and enter meeting ID 897-9239-7905, and then pressing pound and pound again at the next voice prompt. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the meeting designated for public comment by following the steps previously noted, then pressing *9 on their telephone keypad. This will notify the meeting host that the caller wishes to speak. All callers using this feature will be placed in queue in the order they enter the prompt. In the event that despite our best efforts, we are not able to provide real-time access, we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as we are able. Now I'm going to pass it off to the committee chair, Dee Janetti.
Okay, thank you very much, John. Thank you for putting this all together for us. So I'm going to ask that, so we're not going to be muting and unmuting. We're all going to stay unmuted, but I'm going to ask before everybody speaks if they could say their name. That way Tracy will know who's speaking and we'll be able to tell Carol, okay? So it's great to see everybody. It's been a long time. The first order of business is reviewing the minutes of our last meeting. Our last two meetings were canceled due to the virus in May and in March. So the minutes are going to be from January 28th, 2020. Okay, so I'm going to ask Brooke if she could read the minutes, and at the end, if anybody has any questions or any additions or deletions, we can discuss it then, okay?
Yes.
All right, this is Brooke. I am trying to pull up those minutes right now. So if I end up unconnecting or losing you somehow, I'll call you back. So minutes. All right, Wilmington Commission on Disabilities meeting minutes, January 28, 2020. Present except for Selectman Eaton. Meeting was called to order at 6:40 by Chairwoman Dee Janetti. 2, the review of the meeting notes from 19 November of 2019. Motion for notes to be accepted with changes by Brooke Green, seconded by Robert Oliveri, passed unanimously. 3, shared resources for resource directory. Each commissioner collected resources for the directory that we are compiling. Each commissioner should email their resources to Carol to be added to the website and shared to the Google Drive. Next, we'll need to choose more disability resources that are not currently covered to keep adding to the directory. 4, discussion of organization night at WCTV. Dee Janetti represented the commission live on air. 5, where Wilmington WCTV program. DeGenetti was invited for the show 20-minute segment to air in February. She discussed the commission, what we do, how it came about, our 30-year history with the commission. 6, partnering with WCTV for weekly, bi-weekly program. DeGenetti was asked about partnering with WCTV to do a show regarding people with disabilities, which she accepted. DeGenetti proposed the name Accessibilities, which was unanimously approved. The show will highlight people who happen to have disabilities with interesting jobs, talents, and hobbies. As well, the show will highlight town departments, organizations, and businesses with their accommodations to give equal access to people with disabilities. Other topics could include highlighting different disabilities. DeGenetti announced, A, there is room for commissioners to be involved behind the scenes, including camera person, directing, and more. D asked if anyone was interested in hosting. All said no. D volunteered. B, we can schedule taping multiple segments at one time. C, suggested several people as guests, not necessarily just in-town residents. D, others suggested agencies to collaborate with, Vet Services, MCOD, MCD slash, that's the Mass Commission of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, etc. E, we can also do PSAs out and around town. 7, open for discussion. Carol Hilbinger brought to our attention that there is no mention of the WCOD in the Town Topics newsletter. Nettie explained that it's not an option as no commissions, are listed. Carol Hilbinger is going to resend all commissioners the invitation to the Google Drive so all can access and add to the living documents for suggestions on topics, people, etc. 8, motion to adjourn, seconded and voted and approved at 7:30. Submitted by Brooke Green and DeGenetti.
This is Dee. Brooke, thank you very much. That was a beautiful job. Any discussion? Any changes? Okay, do I hear a motion to accept?
Make a motion to accept?
That was Robert. Seconded? Anybody?
Seconded by Brooke.
Okay, all in favor?
Say aye.
Okay, D, aye.
Aye.
Robert, we're gonna say our name first too, so that the, so Tracy can tell Carol who's speaking, okay?
Robert, aye.
This
Brooke?
is Jonathan. I'll have to abstain because I was not present at that meeting.
Okay. Brooke, do you vote?
Oh, aye.
Okay, the minutes are accepted as written. Okay. Now, this is our annual meeting, so we are going to have an election of officers. Jonathan already has a title. He's our selectman liaison. So we will be voting on, let's see, we have a nomination for chairperson. Carol has been nominated by Robert and Dee. Vice chair, Robert nominated Dee. Treasurer has been nominated by Dee and Robert, and communications officer is Brooke is nominated by Dee. So first of all, can we have a second on all the nominations by someone?
Jonathan will make that motion.
Thank
second.
you. Okay, all the nominees, do you accept your nominations?
Robert, yes.
Brooke, yes.
Carol, yes.
Okay, and Dee, yes. Okay, so I'm going to say each person's name, and you can say if you vote for the aforementioned nominees, okay? So, Jonathan?
Is this for me to be the selectman nominee?
What?
Is this for me to be the selectman liaison?
Yeah, but how do you vote for? We're gonna do kind of like a whole group thing.
Oh, okay, then yes, I'm
So-
in favor of the, I guess the ballot as was moved.
Okay, great, thank you. Brooke?
Brooke, yes, as for everybody. Yes, for everybody.
Okay. Carol?
Yes, I'm in favor.
Okay, Robert?
Robert, yes, in favor.
Okay, and this is Dee, and I'm in favor. Okay, so the motion carries. Our new panel of officers, chairperson is Carol, vice chairperson is Dee, treasurer is Robert, communication officer is Brooke, and Jonathan is our selectman liaison. Congratulations, everybody. Okay, the next order of business is an update on accessibilities. I can't believe I haven't seen you guys. I've done so much work on this. Have you heard the, well, let me start with what I have. Okay, I selected an icon. I think I told you guys this, but maybe individually, which was my Statue of Liberty in a wheelchair, which symbolizes freedom and independence for people with disabilities. I can send a link of that to everybody so you can see it, so I can remind you of it. The second thing was I selected an audio soundbite for our theme song for the opening of the show and the closing of the show. And I wanted something upbeat, you know, that will really, because we want to showcase people with disabilities as upbeat and energetic. I don't know if I play it from here, if you'll hear it. Can I try?
This is Robert. I could hear like a little bit, but only bits and pieces.
Oh, okay. It's a 60-second clip. I can send it to you, Robert.
Okay. Did
Okay,
everyone
so
else hear it?
did anybody else hear it?
Carol saying no.
This is Jonathan, really only a little bit.
Oh, okay. Oh, you should have stopped me. All right, well, I can, it's a jazzy little tune that's a real grabber. So if people hear it, they will know it. That's our show.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So I went over the formatting for the opening with WCTV, and it's going to say accessibilities, and it's going to have our icon, the Statue of Liberty in a wheelchair with the flame up, and it's going to say hosted by Dr. D. and Marquis. And then it's going to have a paw print after Marquis's name. That was the editor down there's idea. Okay, so then I wanted the show to be accessible for all people, especially all people with disabilities, which means to be accessible to deaf and hard of hearing, it needs to be closed captioned. And because WCTV is such a small station, they're exempt from having to do closed captioning. So I did some research and I met a technology librarian and he happens to wear hearing aids. And he thought it was awesome that I wanted the show to be closed caption. So he said he can train somebody to do closed captioning. So we need a typist, and he said it's pretty tedious. It takes 5 to 10 times the length of the show. So the show is about 30 minutes. So it would be 5 to 10 times that length. And then he came back with me with a price, which is $1.25 per minute. Um, which is expensive, and we can't afford that because we don't even have a budget. Although I did talk to Jeff about this. But anyway, I dug further, and I got us approved as an internship for the high school. And there is a teen librarian, and she has already located 2 students, high school students, who want to do this for an internship project.
Nice.
So after we tape our first show, Brad's going to be training them on how to close caption. So, oh, and then, okay, so that's exciting. That's really good news. To do closed captioning, we can't do it on WCTV though. So we have to do it on YouTube. So we're having a YouTube channel. So we're already growing and developing without even getting started. So I had to set up a Gmail account. So we have a Gmail address, which is going to be accessibilities2020@gmail.com. And I figured with that we can have our viewers contact us if they have any suggestions for guests to come on the show, or if they have issues that they would like to hear about on the show, disability issues. And another thing I was thinking of doing was a Facebook page. But Jonathan, do you want to speak to that? Jonathan looked into that for us.
Yeah, so if we wanted Accessibilities to have a Facebook page, it would need to be somewhat firewalled off of the Commission on Disabilities. So there would need to be at least some kind of clear place where the Commission on Disabilities ended and the show Accessibilities began. Some of the reasoning behind that is really anything that the Commission does, and more broadly, anything that the town government does needs to be archived, needs to abide by open meeting law and public records requests. So if individuals that happen to be on the commission wanted to talk about accessibilities and how to deal with editing or deal with scheduling guests or things like that, doing so as part of the Commission on Disabilities would require us to post an agenda as to what we were going to talk about 48 hours in advance. It would require that all of the notes or emails and text messages or whatever that would be going back and forth regarding the show be kind of archived, and any Facebook page that was for the show, if it was too intertwined with the Commission on Disabilities, could be considered part of the government entity. So my suggestion is kind of having accessibilities be something that is done, but there's definitely a some clear bright line where someone from the outside wouldn't be able to point and say, well, the Commission on Disabilities has a show. Rather, it's, you know, Dr. D is the host, and she also happens to be on Commission on Disabilities. But my suggestion is that the show be separate, and that we're not kind of in the regular habit of discussing the substance of the show during commission meetings. One last thing, actually, is if we wanted a Facebook page for the commission, that would need to be really administered by the town, and there are ways that that could happen. And many town departments, particularly over the past 3 months, have started their own Facebook pages as ways to communicate to the public. The challenge with doing that with the Commission on Disabilities is the same, where we can't just be talking about matters in front of the commission on a Facebook forum, because that would circumvent and be in violation of open meeting law. So if you boil it all down, and my apologies to Tracy for taking that long, but finding a way to really separate the Commission on Disabilities from Access Abilities, the show, so that if somebody who wanted to complain wouldn't have something to complain about, whereas clearly there's no ill intent here.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Jonathan. That was great. So it's just not feasible to do a Facebook page. It would cause a lot more problems than what we need. So any questions or comments about the show?
Steve, Robert, so what is the schedule for it now with CV19?
Well, the station has been closed because of the virus. As soon as the station opens up, we can start taping. And so what I was thinking of doing is, I've already talked to each one of you about what you might want to say, but I was thinking of having like Robert and Jonathan on together. It's a short show. Between me talking for 5 minutes in the beginning and 5 minutes in the end, then it's just 10 minutes per person. Robert, if that seems a little long, we can cut that. But I was thinking of maybe grouping Robert and Jonathan together, and Brooke and Ari. And Carol, I was thinking of giving you longer time because you'll be the newly elected chairperson. And I think you have a lot that you could share about being a commissioner and also your job.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay, I thought so. All right, so when the studio gives me the green light, then I can contact everybody and see if we can get a time together where we can go in and tape the show. And we can tape more than one show at a time. We can tape 2 at a time. You're gonna let us do that. I've also talked to a few other people who might make great guests. And one of them is Brad, this librarian that's going to be doing the closed captioning. I told him he would also make a perfect guest. And so he's going to come on the show.
And Carol is saying, I'm sorry. I have a habit. I keep waiting for somebody to like recognize me. So I should just go ahead and speak. That's just a habit I have.
Oh, yeah, tell her speak.
So I'm thrilled actually to see that captioning is going to be happening. So first of all, because, you know, that obstacle, you know, for TV, that's something that's been there for a really long time. So for a live stream event, you know, if there's no captioning, someone who's deaf, they're not going to be getting anything. Right. So anyway,
you can tell Carol. You can tell Carol when they do the closed captioning, they're not only going to type what people are saying, but Brad's going to teach them to match the words coming out of people's mouths with the captioning.
With the captioning. So doing that is hard, it's true, and it is time consuming. And it is important that they learn how to do it. So it's a good project for them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, lucky.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else about the show?
Brooke has a question.
Yep.
Was wondering, I know they had said that if we needed to, a little more flexibility, they would show us how to do the taping ourselves. Do we still want to do that? Because I would be willing to learn. They want to show me how to do the stuff, but
Yeah. So far I know that we can have a person learn how to do the camera, be a cameraman and person, and someone can learn how to be the director, and I'm not sure what else, but when we go down there to tape the show, they said they're going to show me how to do everything once we get down there and tape the first show instead of telling me everything. So then we'll find out, what the jobs are that people can do. Yeah. And everybody can be as involved as they want.
excellent.
You have something specific that you're interested in?
No, I was just thinking that if it would help them, or if it's off hours and we wanted to use the studio, just to make it a little easier.
Yeah. All right. And the other thing we can do is we can borrow the equipment and go off site. So if we want to do like PSA announcements and things like that, they told us we can do that too.
Excellent.
Okay. All right, so next on the agenda are meeting dates. I gave Linda the meeting dates for the year, and she just asked me if we're going to keep up with them. So we had a meeting in January. March got canceled, May got canceled. Today we did a special one for the annual meeting, and that leaves 3 remaining: July, September, and November. She wanted to know if we wanted to cancel the July one. I'm not sure if that's because we still will have to do things remotely or what, but I'm actually not even going to be here on that day. So you can either hold the meeting without me, or we can try to reschedule. I would like to see if we can have 6 meetings in the year. We can try to schedule an extra one in the fall. What do people think about that?
Yeah, Robert, yes, that's a good idea.
Carol's saying, yeah, sure. Yeah, good idea.
Brooke agrees.
Jonathan, yes, that's fine.
Okay, so I'll tell Linda to cancel the July meeting, and then when we have our September meeting, I just okay. So when before we get to the fall, then Carol can email us all, and we can talk about when to have another meeting, because Carol, you're going to be in charge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Carol will be taking it off, and Dee, you can relax a little bit for a little bit, right?
I'll be doing things with the show. Okay, so the next thing on our agenda is the commission correspondence. And let's see, Brooke gave me information from Elaine Hatchie's daughter, and so I wrote to her, even though we were late getting to her. I just wrote to her that I did in fact know her mom way back when, and told her that she was a lovely and giving person who was admired by many. Was there a second inquiry, Brooke?
Yes. So Brooke speaking. We had an email from the spouse of a newly I guess a new amputee. And they were wondering, you know, with everything, with restaurants and so on and so forth, how, you know, how well Wilmington is doing with access or mobility access. And, you know, Carol, not Carol, Dee, I had emailed you, and you did say, you know, every public building is in compliance with the regulations. She was a little bit more worried about, as a caregiver, you know, having to transfer a person from chair into like more of the like the travel style wheelchair, and having to I guess a little bit more of a, you know, okay, I recognize, you know, everybody meets the requirements. However, you know, as a caregiver, I have to push this person around who's, you know, maybe something a little bit more, I don't know how to explain it. Like, she's not as strong as, you know, as someone. She can't just lift him up or move him. So, does that make sense? Probably not.
Well, I was gonna
Something more anecdotal, maybe.
Yeah. I was going to ask if anybody wants to call this person and talk to him, talk to her, but maybe a better person for doing this is me, because I know what it's like to transfer in and out of a wheelchair. So if you want, why don't you give me that person's telephone number and I'll call them.
Sure.
and talk to her.
Will do.
So with the correspondence, yeah, if you could look at that a little bit more often and let us know when something comes up, then we can get in touch with people and respond to them.
Will do.
Okay, that's great. Okay, and then the next correspondence that we have is it involves a person looking for a variance at 299 Main Street, and I got all the specifications in, but Jonathan, you had called me and this person had contacted you?
Yeah, so this is Dr. Steve Jensen. He's the chiropractor that owns Wilmington Family Chiropractic and Disc Center. It's currently, I believe it's in the process of moving. It's moving to 299 Main Street, which is
The worst building in the world to make accessible.
I don't remember the last time I've been in there, but I know that there's been some construction out front to add what appears to be a new entryway. But it's at the intersection of Route 38 and Clark Street, so very close to Market Basket.
What street?
Clark. It is right next to the Dunkin' Donuts, and since there's only like 11 of them, that should be fair enough to narrow it down. So Dr. Jensen wrote that he is building a new office at 299 Main Street. He's invested some money in making the space wheelchair accessible, but he's having trouble getting his wheelchair lift design approved by the AAB in Boston. They've already granted me a variance for the type of lift I am installing, but apparently I need an additional variance for how the wheelchair will roll onto the lift. I was wondering if you could introduce me to Dr. Giannetti or a commission member that uses a wheelchair for some advice on my project. Any help you can provide with this issue would be greatly appreciated. And I did later follow up and say that he had sent a copy of his application to Dr. Giannetti. And he said he would be happy to show the space and lift location to anyone who cares to see it. Ultimately, I think a letter from the Wilmington Commission on Disabilities in support of the lift design would be most helpful. At this point, the AAB has continued my amendment request pending more detail from me on my signage instructing people in the best way to mount the lift, but I've yet to receive the official letter from them.
Okay, so so this is an issue for community access monitors, of which most of us are now. I will be happy to talk with him. I would love it if somebody else would like to do this with me, so I can show you how to do a survey. We don't have to look up the information because I've got all the blueprints and all the information. So what I would like to do is be able to meet with you and show you the information, and meet with Dr. Jensen at the site so we can look at it and see what his need is.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that with you at all. I'd be
You want to do that, Robert?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so Robert and I will contact him. Jonathan, do you have his phone number?
I have his email. I can certainly get his phone number easy enough, and I'll send both.
If you, yeah,
I'll send his
that.
contact information to you.
Okay, and you can let him know that I'll be contacting him
Yeah.
this week.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's see. I did that. Okay, so now we're open for discussion.
So Dee, this is Robert. I had a few. So first is on the budget. I know you'd said that we don't have a budget for this year, 2020.
Right.
Will we have one for 2021? Even just a starter budget?
I'll have to contact Jeff, because the way we've been working it is, if I need something, I talk to him about what I need, and we try to figure out if we can get it through a discretionary budget. You know, his first question is, well, what do you need the budget for? So we need to have expenses.
Right. So I know some of the time we've had.
I have an idea. So as treasurer, maybe you can contact Jeff and tell him that you're the new treasurer.
Incumbent, yeah.
We're wondering what our budget is going to be.
Yes, and I will do that. And I guess that I would ask everyone, you know, for their input on that, if they have ideas. My ideas are for maybe advertising. I know I was happy to hear that Brooke is receiving communication from people. So I guess our likelihood or the availability of the WCOD is getting out, right? So that's good news.
Yes.
But I didn't know if we wanted to increase that to make sure that people knew about us and what we do.
Well, see, we can cover that on the website, and then with the show coming out, a lot more people are going to become aware that we're out here.
Okay.
You know, and when they do the end of the show, I'm going to have them put the WCOD email address up there too, always, so
Okay.
people know how to contact us.
No, that's great then. That's a good amount of visibility, I'm sure. I don't know how many people watch this channel, but at least it's a start for us.
We're going to be on YouTube.
Oh, and on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
This is Jonathan. Just a suggestion. I would agree that if you're looking for a budget that we're clear with what we think would need to be purchased. Just going in and asking for a number without a plan.
Right.
I can tell you what that answer is going to be.
No, the answer is no. Right.
But if there's something that we needed, such as, and I know that when we took the community access monitor training, some of the things were like tape measures, things that a lot of folks have around the house, but there were some I guess tools of the community access monitor that might be good to kind of have.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
Those are not. That's not. From what I recall of that, none of that was particularly expensive, and it would be, I think, a much easier hurdle to jump over than going in and just saying we want, X thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
No. It would just be a
No.
couple $100.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, Robert, you had mentioned perhaps some marketing. Some of what we might actually get the most benefit from might be some of the no-cost advertising. So we talked a little bit about Facebook and social media before, and a lot of the departments, especially in the human services kind of wing of what Town Hall does, and I'll include. I can slow down.
What?
So the
Yeah.
a lot of the human services departments.
So Carol is actually, hold on.
Sorry.
So I've seen some newsletters recently that are really beautiful. So we could ask, do you mind if we kind of like for COD, we could have some information added. We could put some advertisement there. Is that a possibility? Or when the information is requested, we can ask, how do someone find out about the commission? How do people contact us? Where is it that they find out about us? So, word of mouth, what are the different avenues? Word of mouth, or a newsletter, or a library, perhaps. Maybe that was a good place where there's an information card or something. Yeah, I'm just thinking of the future, different places that we can kind of get the word out.
So I tend to agree.
I
tend to agree with what you're saying. I think we might get the most bang from our buck if we reach out to the different department heads, like the library, like the senior center, like the veteran services director, and ask, how can we make sure that the population that you are serving is aware that we're here? Because some of the folks that interact with those departments might have questions, or might have a relative that's affected, and we want to make sure that they're being pointed towards us.
Yeah, so this is Dee. Yeah, we've always had communication with the library. I know Tina very well, and she alerts me if anybody has anything there. But with the show, I'm going to be having Tina on so that she can talk about what library services there are, the accommodations for people with different disabilities. And the other way the way we mostly get information from other people is by them calling the town hall looking for information, and that's how they find the commission. But I'm going to be reaching out to the departments anyway, to certain departments, to see if they want to come on the show and talk about what types of accommodations they have to make whatever their service is equal for people with disabilities. So we have a lot of things that we can do that we don't have to have an advertising budget for, but we can start reaching out that way. And if you want to do a newsletter in the future, that's something else we can think about doing, and that would be a cost. But we'd have to plan one and plan who we're going to send it to.
Right. Yes. So this is Robert again. So yes, and I wasn't thinking of thousands of dollars, obviously, like you'd said, Dee, a couple $100, but and for copies, education,
right.
For, the members when they want it. I know in the past we have done it and just gone, on our own, which is fine too. But for copies and things like that, and as Carol said, the newsletter, I have the pleasure of being on the Economic Development Committee as well. And one of the things we're trying to do is get the word out about the Economic Development Committee as well. And one of the ideas out of that committee was, could we put our COD information or contact information along with when we put out the real estate taxes or the newsletter? Do we have anything on there about the WCOD?
We do, but that's a great idea. I like that idea.
So is that something we would talk with Jeff on, or is that something that you would,
Yeah, we'd have to talk.
or Carol?
Yeah, Carol could talk to the person that you could run it by might be Beverly, Jeff's administrative assistant.
I'll take that action. Yep.
Robert, you can reach out to me too, and I can help kind of
Okay, great. Thanks,
push
Jeff.
that conversation along.
Thank you.
Brooke speaking. Along the lines of the budget, I know probably a lot of the stuff that the state puts out is possibly free. I don't know if there was any cost to the town or to the commission. When was it last year or within the past 2 years, you had that the emergency response for the emergency preparedness, which was a great presentation. But I suspect that those people were from the state, so it was probably a free service. Yeah. But perhaps if there's any other kind of program that's offered that we can bring in, having those instructors come in might be some sort of cost. So, but like Jonathan was saying, you have to have the proposal or an idea of what it's going to cost first. So if maybe over the next couple months, we look around and say, okay, there's this program, but the instructor costs, charges $250 for the day, we can project it out for the next fiscal year.
Good idea, Brooke.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay, so anything else anybody wants to discuss?
Brooke has a question again. So we can't have Facebook or social media. This sounds like a bit of a hassle. What about partnering with other departments that are already established in social media? Just as
we have a in order to get a YouTube channel, I had to develop a Gmail account. So we're going to have, I established one. It's accessibilities2020@gmail.com. So for the show only, we can have people corresponding with us through that. If it's something for the commission only, then we'll use the commission email.
Right. So, well, I was just thinking more along the lines of, I think senior services. Do they have a Facebook page? Do we know?
They do.
So
yeah.
I know veteran services. They do. So saying, hey, veteran services, today we're working with, and have them put on their Facebook page. Today we're talking with our, representative from the Commission on Disabilities, and it might be just, Lou and. We'll send Robert in. Let's send him in for the cause. Sorry, Robert, I'll volunteer you. Shaking hands and saying, hey, this is, another thing that not only the Veterans Services works with, but there's this other thing. And people who follow their pages, kind of in a roundabout way, whether it be Veterans Services or the police or the fire department, and they say, oh, well, the fire department said that there's this commission I can contact. Let's see about it. So kind of glomming off their social media, in addition to just, if people aren't using the YouTube channels or whatnot. So
yeah, I think that's a really good idea.
Jonathan, do you think there would, so is that with having YouTube and the Gmail associated, is that something that we would have to tell the town, or is that kind of okay? Do we know?
So I know the town, and John O'Neill's on the line as kind of our IT director behind the curtain tonight, and he has put together a draft social media policy for different town departments. It's still not finalized yet, Certainly the last couple months have been, there's been a lot of other issues that have kind of come to the forefront. Yes, so we're kind of, each different department is owning and administering their Facebook pages, like the Elderly Services, Fire Department has one, Police Department, a very active one. Veteran Services has a very active one as well. Library especially. I think utilizing them to kind of do some cross-pollination would be, my opinion, very effective as to how to increase awareness around town for what the Commission on Disabilities does. Because if it's a veteran that has some questions and knows Lou and follows the Facebook page and then sees something and all of a sudden that might stick in the back of the mind, and then if they need something, they can say, I'll call Lou and Lou can put them in contact with us. Or if it's, they know, they follow the library page and the library is posting something that includes us. It's all about creating impressions for the different targeted audiences. And we have a lot of different avenues to cover a great number of people in town, because you could never have gone to the library or the Veteran Services Department, but if you happen to follow the Police Department's Facebook page or the Fire Department's Facebook page and they put it out there, then you at least have the opportunity to be aware of it, and hopefully it sticks in your mind, and you might know who to contact to try and get pointed back to the Commission if you need something.
This is Dee. I have another suggestion. We should really work on our resource directory, because we always had that at the town hall, at the library, at the senior center. We can put that in different places, and then people would see, not only could they see resources, but they would see us and that we have knowledge about things, so that they would be able to contact us. So Carol, maybe you can make that one of your agenda topics to try to give everybody a kick so we can get that going.
It might be worthwhile trying to put some of the resources that we've already gathered onto the town website.
Well, we should get it into one cohesive package. I sent mine to the shared drive. Has everybody sent the stuff that we have so far to the shared drive? That's one place where Carol asked us to assemble it.
I believe I think I might have emailed mine to Carol, but that was 6 months ago, so it felt like a year ago.
Yeah, and then the other suggestion is for us to work on the website and see what we want to put on there. But we can have a whole bunch of different resources on there. But if we have access to a resource directory, that would be very helpful.
I have a question for Jonathan, Carol is saying. So if we have can you hear me?
This is John, go ahead.
Can you hear me speaking right now?
I can.
Yes.
For John or Jonathan?
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so Carol, go ahead. Okay. So Carol's saying, if we can't have a Facebook page, to have, maybe we can have like a posting of like shared information, and like if there's a Facebook page that's permitted, like to have it be just informative, that's all. Like, really basic, like, the address, contact information, just kind of that limited information.
Yeah,
and because there are postings of like other agencies or other towns, Facebooks, like a link basically that you can connect. And then maybe on these other departments, their Facebook, they can have a link to ours. Do you know what I mean? So then people, they'll know what the contact information, where you can call, instead of the Commission of the COD. And then they don't have anything. Do you know what I mean? It's like if it's if we can't accept, we don't accept postings, is that something that's permitted?
I think that that's a topic for another day, for another agenda. That sounds like a big.
Yeah, so I
topic.
don't think the issue of accepting postings is a problem.
Accepting postings.
I think it's more that the commission members themselves aren't all replying to the comments basically that might come in. So that if somebody reaches out and sends a message and says, "Hey, when are you guys meeting next?" Or I'd like you guys to take a look at the sidewalk on a particular street to make sure that it's the proper width. If I respond to it and Carol responds to it and Brooke responds to it and Robert responds to it, all of a sudden we have a majority of the commission that have responded to it, and that is technically a violation of open meeting law. It's not like, doesn't mean we go to jail, but it's just one of the I think one of the disadvantages of open meeting law being created prior to the advent of social media.
Right.
There's just some things we would have to be very clear on how we're dealing with it. So it's a possibility for sure. It's just something that we can't all be chiming in on and communicating through.
Right. Right.
If you're interested in it, Carol, certainly. Like I have I'm an administrator on the Wilmington Rotary Club's Facebook page, and I have my own Selectman Facebook page. So I can certainly set up a page and co-administer it with, I suppose, the chair, if somebody else wants to do it as well. But I think we should probably, at a future meeting, discuss the cans and can'ts, what we can do with it and what we can't do with it.
Right. Right. Okay. Thanks, Jonathan. That was great. Thanks, Carol.
Yeah, I can see that we have lots to talk about for that. Yes. Got it.
Okay. Okay, so any other items that anyone wants to talk about? Okay, Brooke, did you?
Brooke was going to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
If
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Robert, aye.
Okay, well, congratulations to all the new officer positions. I hope everybody has a really pleasant and safe summer. And as soon as I hear when the studio is going to be open, I can contact everybody. And since we're not meeting again till September, anything new that's going on with the show, I can email everybody and just let you know, because we're pretty informal. Okay.
Good.